What's up, everybody? I'm Coach Brian, and in the spirit of celebrating love, I wanted to talk about relationships, how you get them, how you work through the hiccups, and how you celebrate the good times. Today I'm celebrating one of my favorite couples, and we're going to get started by them just introducing themselves.
We're the Burke Mahonies.
The Burke Mahonies. So that sounds more like a married couple, correct?
It is.
All right, and so tell the people how long you guys been together.
We've been together for 3 months.
3 months. And
Going on 4.
Going on 4. Yeah, 3 months going on 4. Okay.
4 in a week.
4 in a week and a half. And so how long have you guys been married now?
A little over 2 months. On the 17th, we'll make 3 months.
Okay, so we've been together for 4 months, 1 week, and a couple days. And you guys have been married for approximately 2 months.
Yes.
Okay, so you gotta tell us how this happened. So tell us how you met. Yeah, let's start there because I think I got some other questions that I want to talk about. So just first tell us how you guys met.
Well, we were at a day in the district party.
Oh, wow.
In hotel rooftop.
Wow.
And the night was winding down, and I was there with a friend and saw this handsome man dancing with a crop sweater with his hands in the air.
Come on, crop sweater.
And I was like, oh, he's cute. And I like talked myself up, and I was just like, okay, the night's winding down, everyone's leaving. I'm just gonna say hi, tell him how handsome he is, and just leave.
Oh, wow.
Just leave him. Just leave.
Okay.
So he did that. And I looked at him and I was like, well, where are you going? Like, why are you just going to turn around?
You saying like,
here you go. And then like, I'm going to just turn around. And like, he literally just turned around and walked away. And I was like, no, wait a minute, where are you going?
Oh, wow.
So then we started it. We
Okay.
exchanged information.
And so, when you guys were dating, that's what you guys were calling it. When you guys were getting to know each other. And when I say that's what you guys were calling it, this is an important fact and an important key, because I think so many people just kind of like fumble and do whatever they do, and they never define it. And when they don't define it, and it's not about label, but when you don't define it, it causes issues later. So when you guys were getting to know each other, what were you guys calling that?
I can speak for myself.
Okay.
So what happened was I was here visiting. I was living in Long Island, New York.
Yeah.
And I was here visiting for our homecoming, and a lot of my friends were in town. And I kept inviting him to events that we were having, like brunch, game nights, or whatever the case may be. And he kept showing up. So I was like, oh, this is my husband. So I just kept saying
And he kept saying it over, and everybody was like looking at him like he was crazy, including me. Cause
Yeah.
I was like, this is not real. Like, you know how like people say that over and over and over again?
Right.
Like, stop blowing smoke on my ass. Like,
Yes,
like, husband, get out of here.
Right,
so,
right.
like, it kept happening, and like, my friends were here because my friends were around too.
Like,
So
you
we were
know
just
this-
doing a lot of things together, and they were like, oh, he keep calling you his husband. And I was like, they were like, yeah, okay. And I was like, right, exactly. That's not a thing. So,
Yeah.
but we spent an entire week together, basically, for the most part.
Okay. Now, what was the thing, and each one of you guys answer this, what was the thing that made you feel like, okay, this is something more, and I want to date this guy on a more serious basis?
For me, it was the intention. So, like, even though I felt like he was joking about the marriage part, he was very intentional about, like, the time and spending time together and communicating. And so, like, that's what I found. And I think we had this conversation before, too, about people's intentions and, like, them not really following through on them. And so that was the thing that, like, made me like, okay, he's serious about it. So let's see where this goes.
And how about you?
I get a little bit more emotional about mine.
Okay,
So at the time that we met, I was in a very weird place in my life. Just like financially, just job-wise, and at the first time, like in my life, when I met somebody, I had to show up as like my raw self. I had nothing else really to give. There was no fancy dinners I could hide behind, or oh, let me take him to Mexico real quick. Like I had to just be my raw self, and I wasn't even thinking about anything else except for I'm just showing up as my authentic self. And when I kept saying the husband thing, and then we started talking about it, and then when it happened, it was so like an aha moment for me, because I was just like, wow, for the last 10 years I've been dating and trying to find people and be intentional and hide behind all these flashy things that I was trying to do, and the one person that I belonged with and wanted to partner with me was the one person I had to show up as my authentic raw self. And that to me is all the validation.
I love that. I love both of you guys' answers, because I think it's crazy. I think you need a combination of both of what you guys said if we're going to do anything that's going to be meaningful or sustainable. And so much during my coaching, what I hear from people is that people are often not intentional or they're not consistent, right? And it sounds like he was both.
Yeah.
And the other thing is so many people send out their representative, right? And so what happens, we end up getting in a relationship with two representatives. Then when the real self shows up, the relationship dissolves because you find out you don't even really like the person.
Right.
Oh, wow. So even with all that said, you guys still had to say, like, okay, we've been hanging out, we've been doing this for a minute, and it feels good and it feels natural. We're doing this, and I'm not saying when you guys decided, hey, let's go jump in the broom. I'm saying when you said, you know, I want you to be my person. Let's be committed to each other. You guys had a conversation of that sort?
I don't know if it was necessarily a conversation in that way. It was more like just an organic kind of feeling. So, like he said earlier, he was in New York and he, went back home for like a week or so and then came back like right after Halloween, and it was a Halloween party. And when he flew down, so when he got off the plane, I picked him up from the airport, and it was like this kind of kinetic energy thing that was like, okay, no, this really makes sense. Like the same feeling that I had when you were here the first kind of week when we were just, getting to really just introducing ourselves to each other was the same feeling that lasted, after we spent time apart and we still were like, okay, just actually it feels good. It feels like something. And for me, people that know me, like I'm not super emotional, and I don't really like display a lot of my feelings like that. So I wanted to like show him that I was like excited about that possibility, and like I went and got a card and like had a little photo in it that we had taken a photo that for our first week, and I was like, let me put it in there and just tell him how excited I am about like the possibility of us like going forward. And I think that helped set the tone and like the mood for like how we decided to show up.
It almost sounds like it was perfectly aligned before you two even knew yourself. So this was going on throughout your entire journey as individuals, and then it just kind of aligned perfectly when it was supposed to.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Now, I gotta ask, like, when did the conversation about marriage happen? Or if there was a conversation, or did one person decide, okay, I want to propose? Like, how did that happen?
No, you go.
No. Go ahead.
So, as I said, I kept saying it the entire time, and then I was coming back to DC for a friend's birthday, and I was like, well, the only day of the week that is the courthouse is open is on Friday. That's the only day I had. So, on the 17th, if we both wake up on that day and want to do it, and we're really committed to this, we'll do it. And the other one will not get upset if someone says no. That was our commitment. So he came up to New York to meet my family. I met his family the weekend prior. He came to meet my parents, my sister. Oh my gosh, when they see this, my mom knew. Yes, daddy is niece, mommy knew. But they all acted like they didn't. My mom acted like they didn't. But they knew, they loved him. My dad, super Caribbean man.
Yeah.
He usually doesn't say a word to
people.
I told him, I said, don't worry, my dad's not gonna say much to you, whatever. My dad took over the whole conversation that day. I was like, who is this man? Like conversing the entire. He don't talk.
Yeah. That's because parents know. And he probably saw something in you.
He must have.
This is my son. Like this is it.
Literally, I was like, this man I've never seen. But anyways, so then that week when we went back to DC, we were at his place, and well, not our place. And then we both just decided that we woke up on that Friday, and we woke up, and I was just like, how do you feel? He was like, yes. And I was like, when I asked, he said yes. So we went to the gym and took a couple minutes to get out the house.
Yeah. Right.
Naturally, it got a little nerve-wracking.
It gets a little nerve-wracking.
Trust me, I know that.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, it got a little nerve-wracking.
This is crazy because I feel like, you and I had talked even as recent as October. And in October, of course, there was nobody, right? And you got to feel like this is something you manifested. It's something you wanted and like woke up and there it was.
It's crazy because I think it was like our conversation maybe like 2 weeks before we met.
Yeah.
And I was literally like sitting there and I was like, okay, so I met somebody, do all the things that I said I'm going to do to make sure that it is what I want it to be.
Yeah.
And so, and I think you even had that session, like maybe in September or something like that.
Yeah.
We had a whole conversation, everything about that. And so it was like, okay, like all of that was kind of meant to be in place to make sure that
you were ready for this.
Yeah,
I get it. I mean, well, kudos to you guys. And I definitely would want to ask, 'cause I think people will want to know, and especially anyone who find themselves in a similar situation or even hoping for a similar situation, what do you do to quiet the noise, not just from other people, but even like internally, if there's any second guessing about the decision, or like, not having years and years of being together before making the commitment? How do you deal with that?
I think for me at least, it was like, I don't have to subscribe to the rules that everybody else has put out there or everyone else thinks that you're supposed to subscribe to. If I feel good about the decision that I'm making, then it's fine for me to make that decision. And you don't know what the future is. I can't predict anything. I can't predict what's about to happen in the next seconds. You know what I mean? So trying to like live my life by those rules doesn't really make sense to me. And I'm typically very like pragmatic. Like everything. Everything's got to be aligned a certain way. And for some reason, and for some reason, it was like, no, you don't have to do that. And I think that what it shows you is that love and connection doesn't have to fit a mold, right? And it just is what it is.
And it usually feels so much better, so much more sustainable when we don't try to restrict it. Love is not about restrictions and creating a follow the map type of thing, right? You gotta let it do what it do. And I truly believe we're all created from love, so as long as that exists, then we're probably gonna be in a good place. Right? So I gotta ask you guys, have you had a first hiccup yet? Like major hiccup yet?
Major? I wouldn't say major.
Oh, so we've had a minor. Let's talk about minor one. And then we don't necessarily need to know about the actual hiccup, but more so, how did we push through?
I'm curious. What is it?
Oh, I didn't know. It's about to happen right now. So, what are you trying to say? What did I do to get on your nerves?
No, I think it's about like the decision for going to Greece.
Okay. We have two major milestones of two different friends that were planned beforehand. So us trying to figure out, and they're on the same week. So one's a Europe trip, and the other one is a very close friend of mine's wedding. Yeah. So we're trying to figure out now, like, who
do we bail on? Who do we say we ain't gonna make it? How do we make both of them happy?
And keep both people happy, and everything that comes with that. So that's been, actually, you're right. Okay, that's like the first decision that we're like, I want you here with me, and it's like, but I also understand. Right. It's like,
so it's like, so actually, it's a good like hiccup. Okay. What would you say to someone who is in a place where they're thinking they'll never find their person?
I think take those negative thoughts out of your head. I mean, what you ideate is what you become. So like if you keep thinking those things are gonna happen, then that's what you're gonna manifest for yourself. If you decide that, hey, this is what I want, this is the life that I want, if you do the work and put the effort into it, what you want will come to you.
Okay. And I guess you agree with that as well.
Really the same thing. Just take those, you have to manifest. Like, look what happened here. You told him that, and then 2 weeks later.
I mean, it was overnight, so happy for you. I mean, it also, for me, I felt a little warmth in the sense that it's coaching is one of those things where so many people come to the table looking for tangibles, and I have to remind them to trust the process. Yeah. And so when you look at your own life, there's so many things that we work towards. There's so many things that we engage, we give our time and effort, and we hope when we get the desired experience. The things that are usually meaningful, that usually touch us here and here, are things that's not necessarily tangible, right? But it's the things that make life worth living. Right. And I think like seeing what's happened between the two of you guys is always one of those instant gratification things for me that like, see what I told you? Yeah. Like see what was gonna happen? I so appreciate you guys doing this. I think watching this love story is going to be so inspirational, not just for our community, but just for people in general. I feel like love is the foundational point of our lives, and so whenever that can come to the surface, it's going to be a beautiful thing. Yeah. Anything else you guys wanted to say before we kind of close out?
Come to Thirst Lounge.
Oh, look, seriously, go ahead and plug. Let everybody know this very big thing that you did. And here's the other thing too. He wouldn't have known that you were doing that.
He didn't know.
You know, which
Well,
is-
actually, he knew about it from his friend, but he didn't know who the people were.
Yeah.
Of it.
Yeah.
And when I told him, he was like, "You on Thirst Lounge?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh wow!" And it wasn't even open yet because it was
right.
But you know, I think that was also part of the thing that helped me be more comfortable in this. Is like, I'm already doing something that's big and outside of my comfort zone, outside of what I've normally done, which is corporate America, you know, by the book type of things. And so it was like, I can make my whole life this way. I can make my life the way that I want it to be. And so this is that complete journey. You know?
Yeah, which probably had to come with a little bit of understanding, because I'm sure you're still busting your butt working, you know, and you're kind of leaning your husband to like us while he do what he needs to do to make sure his business is going. I'm so happy for you guys. Thanks so much for doing this, and I so appreciate you.
Thanks, bro.
Thirst Lounge DC is the only Black-owned LGBTQ space in the city, in DC, and it opened December 9th, 2023. So it's been about a month and a half now, and we're just want everybody to come through, have a good time. It's a space that's welcoming for all, and we really wanted to plug that it's inclusive of all parts of the LGBT community. Whoever you are, we want you to come, have a good time, get a good drink. We got a great happy hour every day that we're open. So
yeah,
come through.
Extraordinary, very, very.